Hello, everyone, and welcome to this explainer. I am absolutely thrilled to have you here today. If you're a focused learner looking to genuinely understand how to use Japanese naturally, you are in exactly the right spot. Today, we're tackling two incredibly important JLPT N4 grammar patterns, naide and na kereba ikenai. You're going to see these everywhere. I mean, they pop up in daily chat, at work, in school, and for sure on your exams. Okay, let's dive into this and turn those stiff textbook rules into tools you can actually use in real life. Here's our structured roadmap for today. We'll start by unlocking nai, compare it to nakute, figure out how to express what we must do, pick up some awesome casual speech shortcuts, and finally wrap up with some JLPT tips. This roadmap is going to take you smoothly from textbook mechanics straight into real-world natural conversation. Let's get going. Section 1, Unlocking naide, where we look at expressing without doing or instead of doing something. You know, this grammar point is just incredibly versatile. It's really the perfect, elegant solution for expressing without doing something or when you choose to do one thing instead of another. And the mechanics here, actually very straightforward. Think of it like a simple two-step puzzle. Step 1, you just take the verb and change it into its plain negative form, the nai form. Step 2, you simply attach de right to the end of it. So let's take the verb to eat, which is taberu. The nai form is tabenai. Add de, and boom, you get tabenaide, meaning without eating. Iku becomes ikanaide, hanasu becomes hanasanaide. See? It has a really nice rhythm to it once you get the hang of it. Let's look at this in action with a situation, well, we can probably all relate to this from our childhoods. Shukudai o shinaide asobimashita. I played without doing my homework. Oops. Notice how naide beautifully captures the relationship between these two actions here. You performed the second action, playing, while specifically not performing the first action, doing your homework. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how naide also doubles as a very common request. When you hear okikoe to hanasanaide, it translates to don't speak loudly. It acts as this slightly softer colloquial way of saying please don't do something. You might also hear it with kudasai attached to the very end for a bit more politeness, like koko de tabako wo suwanaide kudasai, please do not smoke here. But even on its own, it is a fantastic, natural, conversational boundary setter. And here's the final brilliant nuance of naide. It shows making an active choice. Bus ni noranaide arukimashita. I walked, instead of taking the bus. It's not just that you walked and hey, the bus didn't happen to be there. No, it shows you had a clear choice between taking the bus and walking, and you consciously chose to walk instead of riding the bus. Section 2, naide versus nakute. Action versus reason. If you've been mixing these two up, trust me, you are not alone. It is arguably the most common hurdle for N4 learners, but don't worry, we are about to clear it up permanently. Here is the logical breakdown. On the left side, we have naide. As we just learned, this is an action sequence. You use it for commands, requests, or doing one action without doing another. It is all about behavior. Now, on the right side, we have nakute. This is entirely about cause and effect relationships and states of being. You're going to use nakute to express a reason, a cause, or an emotion that results directly from something not happening. Let's look at a very practical, real-world scenario to cement this, the dreaded forgotten wallet. On the left, saifu wo motanai de dekata. I went out without taking my wallet. This is just a totally factual statement of your actions. You walked out the door and the wallet just stayed on the table. But look at the right side. Saifu ga nakute komatta. I had trouble because I didn't have my wallet. Imagine you are standing right there at the cash register, feeling the actual emotional panic of the situation. The lack of the wallet is the reason for your trouble. So action sequence versus emotional cause and effect. Makes sense, right? Moving on to section 3, expressing must do. Because sometimes in life, and definitely in Japanese, there are just things we simply must do, whether we want to or not. Now, when you first see this conjugation in a textbook, I know it looks notoriously long and intimidating, but let me guide you through it. Once you see the visual formula, it is literally just a simple plug and play. Step 1, you start with that familiar verb nai form. Step 2, you just chop off that final I. Step 3, plug in kereba ikenai or kereba naranai. So ikonai, which means don't go, drops the I to become ikona, and then becomes ikonakereba ikenai, I must go. It looks long, but the pattern is super consistent. You might be wondering, why on earth are there two different endings for the exact same meaning? Well, so the crucial point is that while the meaning is identical, the secret to sounding natural lies entirely in choosing the right formality. Nakereba ikenai is your go-to for daily conversation. It has a slightly softer tone to it.
Nakereba naranai, on the other hand, carries a stricter, much more formal weight. You're going to see it constantly in writing, business settings, or public announcements.
Let's look at an example using that conversational form. 明日早く起きなければいけません. I have to wake up early tomorrow. Notice how naturally the softer ikemasen fits right into a daily life scenario, like setting your alarm clock. I mean, it's an obligation, sure, but it's a personal, everyday obligation. Section 4, Casual Speech Shortcuts. Nakya and Nokucha. All right, get ready because you are about to learn the ultimate native shortcuts for your daily chats. Textbook Japanese is totally essential, but if you've ever listened to native speakers talk casually, you know they rarely say the full nakereba ikenai out loud with their friends. And this brilliantly illustrates how languages evolve for efficiency. Japanese people naturally shorten those long formal textbook phrases into these snappy, casual bites. Instead of ikanakereba ikenai, you just say ikanakya, I gotta go. Instead of benkyou shinakereba ikenai, you sigh and say benkyou shinakucha, I gotta study. They mean the exact same thing, but they instantly make your Japanese sound incredibly natural and fluent. Let's see how all of this flows in a real-world dynamic. Imagine a slightly nagging older sibling checking in. Person A asks, "Shukudai o shikta? Did you do your homework?" Person B, who is probably staring at a screen right now, replies with a totally casual, somewhat dismissive tone. "Mada shidenai." Not yet. "Hayaku shinakereba ikenai yo." You have to do it quickly. Notice how they use ikenai here because it's spoken conversation between siblings, not some written rule. And then person B responds, perfectly utilizing our very first grammar point. "Demo, game wo yamenai de tsuzuketai." But I want to continue playing games without stopping. They want to do action B, continuing, without doing action A, stopping the game. It is just a perfect encapsulation of how these forms work together in daily life. Section 5, JLPT Tips and Practice. Let's move to Woriki and see how this builds into real exam success. Understanding the conversational flow is great, but let's be real. If you're taking the JLPT N4, you need to know exactly what the test makers are trying to trick you with. So here are your rapid-fire, high-value tips to take right into that exam room. First, when you see a blank space and NIDE is an option, look carefully at the action order. If the sentence describes someone doing an action while skipping another, NIDE is definitely your answer. Second, for nakereba ikenai and naranai, remember they are strictly about obligation. If you have to choose between them, look at the context. Is it a conversation? Go with ikenai or casual shortcut. Is it a strict rule or an announcement? Go with naranai. Let's test that logic right now. Question 1. Asagohan o blank gakko e ita. I went to school blank breakfast. I'll give you a second. Is it A, B, or C? Okay, the answer is B, tabenaide. Why? Well, because it's an action sequence. You performed the action of going to school without performing the action of eating breakfast. Nakute would be totally wrong here because skipping breakfast isn't the reason you went to school. Make sense? Let's try question 2. Ashita wa testo desu. Benkyo, blank. Tomorrow is a test. Study, blank. Look closely at the context here. An upcoming test creates a strong obligation, right? Therefore, the perfect logical fit is B, shinakereba naroni. You must study. Option A, please don't study. Well, that makes absolutely no sense in this context, unless you're trying to fail. And that brings us to the end of our explainer. You have officially mastered naide for without doing and nakereba ikenai for must do. Now, I want to issue you a challenge right now to really cement this knowledge. What is one thing you must do today? Think about it and try saying it out loud in Japanese right now using the casual nakya or nakucha. Take this textbook knowledge and make it yours. Keep practicing, and I will see you in the next explainer.